The older you get, the more wise you get, and you recognize that the small changes have a great impact in your life, as well as in the lives of others. This is a spirit message. Good day, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to Milk Honey Rose. I am Mystic Alchemy. Thank you for being here. In the small changes brings about great results. It's the little things. Okay. Oftentimes in life, it's the little things that mean the most. When somehow there are many people that think the opposite. Like the big things are what means the most, but it's the little things that cultivate the bigger realities that have a greater impact on your life as well as the lives of others. When you recognized this truth, you also recognize that small changes that you make within your own life can have the best impact as well as promote longevity. So you started to make small changes within yourself when it comes to your approach to life in general, the way you think about your life as well as who is in your life. So if you recognize that there were some relationships that did not really serve a purpose in your life, you recognize that it's best to detach from those relationships because they didn't promote growth. They didn't have any value. So you had to make the choice. What would be best in this time? Would it be to continue to connect with energy that is no longer in alignment with me? Or should I move on? And you recognize that you really, once you come to this realization and you recognize this truth about how you truly feel, you can't really fake that. There's, if you try to, off the strength of someone else's feelings, like trying to spare someone else's feelings, you end up forfeiting your own feelings. And then who is the one who has to suffer the most? That's like double suffering. And I say that because you already know that you're no longer aligned to it. So to stay around that person is detrimental to your frequency and to your emotional state. And also, the other aspect of that is the person that you allow to remain in your life, they benefit off you. Meanwhile, you're still not benefiting off them in any way. So that's I heard double trouble. It's a situation where it's like a double-edged sword. It's double the problem, double the frustration. So it's something small, but you'll recognize that when you removed yourself from certain people, your frequency elevated. Now, if you had have kept these energies around you, it could cause frustration and it can cause stress. Because usually when someone is not on your frequency, it will immediately equate to stress and frustration. Because it gets frustrating when you reach a certain point when it comes to your consciousness and you're trying to communicate with those who are still at a lower state of consciousness, and it becomes stressful because you can't really hold a conversation for too long, if at all. And then it's like, what's the point of being around someone I can't even communicate with and that doesn't necessarily understand me? So that's just one example of how a small change can make a great impact in your life. Okay? It could also be, a big one can be saying no. Okay, because a lot of times in life, many of you have been stuck in that way of not wanting to hurt someone else's feelings. So when one asks for something, You say yes when you really want to say no. And you know you want to say no. But you say yes because you're trying to spare that person's feelings, and you don't want them to think that you're like standoffish or antisocial, whatever you want to call it. But there comes a time where you understand your own energy, and if you want to say no, you recognize that it's best to say no. And if whoever is asking you to make a move that you are not interested in making, if they don't understand that you are who you are, and if you're saying no, it's for a reason, whatever that may be, even if they don't understand it, if they can't respect that, that means they don't respect you. A lot of people have trouble giving people space, especially if they have a different type of personality. And this is just another example. But to give people space and let them be, it's more likely that you would receive a better response from them. Once people feel like they're forced into something and like they feel an obligation when they really don't want to be a part of whatever it is, frustration comes up, stress, maybe even depression, depending on how severe the situation is. But yes, this is the message, is basically about being true to what it is that you truly desire and how you feel in that moment, and responding according to how you truly feel in that moment. And whoever doesn't accept it, that's on them. And who does, those are the ones who understand, and those are the ones who are worth being around and thriving with. Okay? And also, these little changes, and this could be applied to anything in life, the gradual changes are the ones that have the greatest impact, like the gradual adjustments in your life. So if you did something one way and you realize that it frustrates you, try it in a different way. It doesn't have to be an extreme difference, but even if it's something very small, it may seem small. However, over time, in which it doesn't have to be a long amount of time, but the point is that you will see an improvement, and that is the goal. So if you make a bunch of little adjustments in your life, you'll begin to recognize that you'll feel a sense of joy because these adjustments were exactly what you needed. And you also won't feel overwhelmed, because change could be overwhelming for some, but if it's little small changes, it won't feel so drastic. Okay, but it will still have an impact in your life. Alright, so that's it for this message. If you deem this energy as suitable to continue to walk with you on your spiritual journey, drop it down in the comments below. 8888. I declare this is an aspect of my love. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you feel in my vibe, especially if this message does resonate with you. To book a healthy conversation, you can by visiting www.milkhoneyrose.org. Also, join the membership here on YouTube to gain access to additional content. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.